I didn't know that was love until the morning you warmed up the car while I searched the house for flowers I forgot to buy. One of us was reaching for romance. The other was melting the frost off the windshield. If you're here for adapting to different love languages in relationships, you already know that gestures don't always translate on the first try. The surprise is that translation can make a deeper kind of intimacy than sameness ever could. We tell stories like this at Whispered Hearts, English because they begin where most couples get stuck, between effort and understanding. You might come from a family where affection is public, playful, and loud. Your partner may have learned that love is quiet, faithful, and shown in what you do before anyone wakes up. Neither way is wrong. They're different roads heading for the same address. On our third date, you asked me if I'd eaten, and I thought you were changing the subject. Later I learned that in your family, those words were a complete sentence that meant, "I want you well." The first time I heard your parents say it on the phone, my chest loosened. Love was in the question, not the vocabulary. Have you ever realized a phrase you missed was actually a doorway standing open? But there's something even quieter shaping those doorways. Culture hands us a starter pack for loving. What to praise out loud, what to protect in private, what to bring to a celebration, and what to save for home. Popular frameworks like Gary Chapman's Love Languages can be helpful, but culture rearranges the furniture inside those rooms. Words of affirmation might sound like poetry in one home and like "text me when you land" in another. What would change if you treated the same 5 rooms as 5 different floor plans? Research shows that rituals and norms teach us how love should look long before we pick our partners. Therapists report that conflicts soften when couples name the rule underneath the reaction. If you flinch at public affection, perhaps the rule is, we protect intimacy from strangers. If your partner lights up at surprise gifts, perhaps the rule is, celebration says I see you, right now. What rule did your childhood write that your partner keeps bumping into? We built a simple practice to find out. For 1 week, we watched each other's default love moves without trying to change them. You refilled my water glass, stacked the mail, and sent a "home soon" text with a photo of the sunset over the freeway. I wrote you a note, reached for your hand in the grocery line, and saved the last bite of the good dessert. We didn't grade. We circled patterns. Which pattern in your home is loudest, even on busy days? Then we started naming meaning. An act of service wasn't just help. It was reliability dressed as action. A gift wasn't just a package. It was a story you could hold. Quality time didn't always mean deep conversation. Sometimes it meant quiet, parallel play, while the laundry clicked in the dryer like a metronome. When we named meaning, we fought the urge to defend style and protected the message instead. Have you tried asking, "What does this mean to you?" before you ask, "Why do you do it that way?" Our first big misunderstanding turned into our favorite guide. I wanted a kiss in a crowded park. You stiffened, and I felt rejected. That night, on the front porch where summer air hummed with crickets, we learned that public affection had been frowned on in your upbringing. Your boundary wasn't coldness, it was care. We agreed on a different signal, your hand on my shoulder. The touch was small and steady. It felt like a lighthouse I could always find. But there's a curiosity that changes everything between understanding and adapting. What if the goal isn't to swap languages, but to become conversational in both? You don't have to give up your dialect of love to learn your partner's. You need a pocket dictionary, a good ear, and the courage to sound imperfect on purpose. Which phrase from their language could you try this week, knowing you might get it adorably wrong? We created a gentle experiment called Translate, Don't Trade. You kept your acts of service, but you narrated them once a day so my words brain could hear the heartbeat in them. I cleaned your windshield because I want your mornings easy. I kept my words of affirmation, but I added a small action to each line. I love how you care for people, so I booked the oil change you've been putting off. The translations made our differences feel like harmony instead of debate. Popular advice warns that mismatched love languages lead to distance. Our experience, and many couples we've known, suggests the opposite when you stay curious. The mismatch can become a strength because it multiplies the ways love lives at home. Your partner's gift-giving might pull you into celebration you would have skimmed past. Your affection might draw them out of a shell that kept connection too quiet. Which strength is your mismatch trying to hand you right now? We also learned that words of affirmation come in cultural dialects. In some families, "I'm proud of you" is normal. In others, praise arrives sideways, so it doesn't embarrass anyone. I told Auntie about your presentation can be a bigger compliment than you hear at first. If your partner's culture leans indirect, listen for pride told like a story. If yours leans direct, say the line out loud and watch how safety grows. Have you noticed how many ways pride can sound when love is translating? Gifts may carry traditions you didn't grow up with. One partner might love giving something small and thoughtful every week. The other might prefer saving for one significant, lasting item. In some cultures, red envelopes mean blessing. In others, a handwritten card is the crown of the moment. We made a hybrid, small notes monthly, a shared experience quarterly, and one keepsake a year. The mix stopped us from measuring love by price tags or frequency. Quality time shifts with context, too. Your partner may crave shoulder-to-shoulder errands that feel like team life. You may picture face-to-face talks on a quiet couch after dinner. Both are intimate. Both can feel like neglect if the other person doesn't know what you're missing. We started labeling our time like a playlist: errand time, talk time, walking time, no phones time. The labels kept us honest without keeping us rigid. What label would help your next hour mean what you hope it will? Acts of service deserve special care across cultures. In some homes, doing tasks for someone is how respect breathes. In others, service gets tangled with gender expectations or past imbalances. We chose consent as our compass. We asked before taking over a task. We turned, "I'll do it," into, "Would it help if I did this?" That tiny permission slip kept help from sounding like control. Physical touch needed boundaries braided with tenderness. We mapped public, semi-public, and private spaces, and agreed on signals for each. A squeeze of the hand in the checkout line, a head on the shoulder at the movies, a deeper embrace when the door closes and the night slows. Rules don't kill romance when you write them together. They protect it from misunderstanding. But there's something even more important than rules. You'll need a way to repair when the old scripts flare up. One chilly January night, I reached for a hug while you were on a work call with relatives who prefer a formal tone. You flinched, and I felt foolish. 20 minutes later, we stood in the kitchen where the heater clicks like it's clearing its throat, and we tried again. I felt small when you moved away, I said, palms open. I felt torn, you said, between respecting my family's norm and wanting to pull you close. We made a plan, No physical affection during those calls, followed by a private debrief, where we name one win and one wish. We sealed it with a forehead touch and let the night exhale. Which specific, small action could turn your next misstep into a new ritual? The seasons helped us tune our adaptations. In spring, we practiced new gestures in low-stakes settings, a picnic at the park with rain in the air and the scent of cut grass, where we tried touch and talk in ways that felt safe to both of us. In summer, we celebrated progress loudly, grilling on the porch while fireflies blinked like tiny applause. In autumn, we walked through neighborhoods layered in leaves and asked what changes still felt right. In winter, we protected rest so love didn't start to sound like homework. Public displays of affection can be a minefield. Some cultures read them as joy, others read them as disrespect. We chose a middle lane for mixed spaces, affection coded for comfort, hand to shoulder to cheek for photos. Full warmth when we're back at the kitchen table, where the lamplight makes a circle of gold on the wood. Compromise didn't dilute love. It built trust we could both bank on. We also learned to translate compliments. In one language, "You're beautiful" lands clean. In another, appearance talk feels awkward, while "you worked hard" or "you were thoughtful" is the highest praise. We decided to diversify: beauty, effort, character. We touched all three across a week, so neither of our ears felt hungry. What kind of compliment does your partner hear as love, not performance? Family can amplify or muffle your efforts. Your aunt may believe gifts are the only safe love language. Your partner's uncle may think public affection is for movie screens. We stopped trying to convince anyone and focused on our home dialect. Over time, relatives learned our cadence because it yielded peace. Commitment teaches skeptics faster than arguments do. At the heart of everything was attention. We paid attention to the times our partner glowed and to the times they shrank. Glow meant we were speaking their language. Shrink meant we'd drifted back to our default in a context that needed something else. We kept a small note on the fridge titled, "What lit you up this week?" It took 15 seconds to fill and saved hours of guesswork. Then came the day your two languages braided themselves without a meeting. I left you a note on the mirror, and you responded by fixing the squeaky cabinet door I'd mentioned once at 11 p.m. The mirror carried words, the cabinet carried care, and the house felt like it was learning to speak. Progress rarely makes headlines. It makes breakfast easier. Midway through a tough month, I forgot your preference and bought a grand, surprise gift after a long week. You thanked me and looked tired. Later, on a slow drive past a lake that shimmered like aluminum foil, you said, "I love that you thought of me, and I also felt pressure to love it back big." We returned the gift and bought 2 cheap tickets to a community festival instead. Dancing under string lights turned out to be the present we both could unwrap. Whispered hearts. English is where we say this part out loud. Belonging grows when couples make a home between their pasts, rather than choosing one over the other. That's not a slogan. It's the quiet promise you hear when someone folds your habit into their day because it matters to you. If you felt alone trying to find that middle, you're not. This porch light is for you. What small habit from your culture could we cheer for in the comments so someone else feels safe to try it? We kept a shared calendar for love languages, not to schedule affection, but to notice patterns. I saw that I spoke my love loudest on Fridays when work let go of my shoulders. You saw that you showed care in acts on Tuesdays when errands stacked up like dominoes. We used that data like a tide chart. We didn't force high tide on low tide days. We planned around the water we had. For couples parenting or planning too, adaptation changes the air your kids breathe. Children learn love from how it's exchanged, not just how it's explained. We chose to model variety, hugs and help, words and presence, celebration and service, so they wouldn't inherit a single door to knock on. Mixed language homes can be multi-love homes too, if the grown-ups keep translating with kindness. We also practiced cultural audits, twice a year with coffee and a short walk. What parts of our love style feel borrowed and beautiful? What parts feel like costumes that itch? We kept the borrowed beauty and returned the costumes to the closet. Audits sound clinical until you realize they save you from years of pretending. On a cold morning, when the car's windshield wore lace, I remembered that early gesture of yours and felt my face warm. I brewed your favorite tea and tucked a note into your glove box that said, "Your care keeps the road kind." You texted a photo of the note at lunch with a heart and a wrench emoji. That's our dialect, sweet, small, and ready to fix what squeaks. Direct and indirect styles still visit our home. When I need clarity, I say, "Tell me in 2 sentences what you're asking." When you need harmony, you start with gratitude and describe the feeling before the request. Both approaches live at our table. The trick is noticing which guest the moment needs. Holiday season can scramble love languages. Gifts take over. Words get loud. Time stretches thin. We chose a less but truer plan. Fewer presents, more presents. One public affection we both agreed on, a hand squeeze in front of the tree. One act of service carved in stone. Whoever didn't cook did the dishes, no debate. The holidays softened. There were still days when we missed. I offered praise when you needed help. You fixed a problem I wanted to tackle myself. We apologized without paragraphs. I spoke my language and not yours. Let me try again. Then we did one thing in the other person's dialect within the hour. Speed of repair mattered more than elegance. When friends asked how to begin, we shared a starter kit anyone can carry. Watch a week without judging. Name meanings, not methods. Pick one translation sentence you'll both try. Then put a reminder on the bathroom mirror so the day doesn't erase your intention. Love is a practice with great benefits and no final exam. The prettiest part of adaptation is what it does to time. Morning coffee stops being a caffeine chore and becomes a love letter poured in steam. Evening dishes stop being a tally and become a rhythm you keep together while the neighborhood hums outside. On Sunday afternoons, we drive with the windows cracked, trading small compliments like postcards, so our week starts with stamps of grace. You might find your love story humming at the farmer's market, where the peach guy learns your names, or on the subway when you lean into your partner's shoulder while a saxophone makes the car feel like nostalgia, or in a park where autumn leaves negotiate with the wind and you practice public affection that respects your families and your hearts. The setting changes. The music is yours. One last thought for the moments that still sting. If you feel unloved, ask first, what am I expecting love to look like today? Then ask, which love did my partner send that I missed because it wore a different outfit? Those 2 questions won't solve everything. They will open a window when the room feels small. Fresh air helps you stay kind. As the year turns, we'll keep learning the grammar of each other's tenderness. Some days we'll conjugate perfectly. Some days we'll mix tenses and laugh. The point is still the same. We are writing a shared letter in 2 inks that looks, at a distance, like one steady line. If this made a room in your day, tell us your love languages below and how they dance together. Which gesture surprised you by turning out to be love wearing new shoes? And what small promise will you practice this week so both your dialect and your partners can breathe? We're grateful you're here. Whispered Hearts. English is the quiet companion for couples who refuse to choose between history and hope. If these words helped you see your partner more clearly, share the moment that did it. Someone will borrow your courage tonight and return it with interest. Tonight, when the porch light finds the path and the house exhales, try one small translation. If you speak in touch, add a line. If you speak in words, add a deed. If you speak in service, add a smile big enough to catch. Little bridges hold a lot when you cross them daily. And when you step into tomorrow, remember the sentence that warmed our whole winter. Love may be shaped by culture, habit, and the rules we learned as kids, but it grows strongest when we stay teachable. That's how you keep adapting to different love languages in relationships without losing your own voice, and how your home starts sounding like a song that welcomes everyone you love.